DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. Where is it? And you know what we're going to do? We're going to put all this together for you into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one daily show. This daily, yes, every single day, masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. Welcome to the show. And today's topic is a framework for being coached. So any of you who has ever been coached, or you are about to be coached, or you want to be coached, or maybe right now you are being coached, but maybe it's not going as well as you want it to go. Maybe you think the coach has some issues. Maybe you think the coach is hating on you. Maybe you think the coach is not coaching you the way that you need to be coached. Maybe you feel like the coach is not giving you the right type of information. Anyone who is or will ever be coached needs to listen to this today. And also, any of you who is a coach, if you're going to be doing any coaching, I don't care if we're talking business coaching, sports coaching, any form of mentoring, or anything in between any of those, everyone needs this masterclass here today. So before I get further into why we're talking about this and some background info, let me tell you that I have a text line where I want you to send me a text and tell me the best insight you received from today's class, or if you have an idea, a question, a comment, a concern, or you just want to let me know how great this episode was. I'll accept all of that. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Also, once you do text me and confirm that you are into my community, you will be receiving my daily motivation text, which I send out every single day. You can ask anybody who's getting those texts about those daily motivation texts, or you go to my Instagram story where you'll see me post sometimes some of the texts that I send and some of the responses that I get, just so you know that it's for real, that I do send those every single day. I mean, this show comes out every day, so if I can do this show every day for 20, 30 minutes, all right, do you think I can send a text, a daily motivation text every day? So yes, it is really every day. So again, that number is down below in the show notes, in the description, or wherever you happen to be consuming this. So first of all, when it comes to coaching, being that the person that is hosting this show that you're listening to, I'm a former athlete. And being an athlete, you're going to deal with coaches. I don't care if you're playing a solo sport like golf or tennis, especially when you're playing a team sport like football, basketball, or baseball. You're going to have all types of coaches that you deal with. Some who will be perfect matches for you and you perfect matches for them, and some where it's not going to be, not exactly. You know how they had Hertz commercials, the rental cars? Sometimes it's Hertz and sometimes it's not exactly. But you're going to have to be coachable in order for you to succeed in your sport. Because if you knew everything there was to know about the sport, then you wouldn't need a coach, and then, well, you probably wouldn't need to be on the team. You probably already be in the Hall of Fame of your sport. The purpose of having a coach is your admission, is your implicit admission that there are some things that maybe you don't know. And also your implicit admission that there are some things that another person can get you to do that you probably couldn't do for yourself. And that does not mean that it is some type of weakness, doesn't mean that you have some type of deficiency. The best performers in everything, whether we're talking business, we're talking sports, we're talking life, we're talking relationships, they all have coaches. They have people that they go to, whether that person is specifically designated as a coach. Maybe they have people they go to in a mastermind group. Maybe they have accountability partners. Maybe they just have friends who can see things that they can't see. But every person who is a high performer at what they do has people in their circle in life who can help them see some things that maybe they're not seeing, and maybe push them or entice them to do things that they otherwise would not do, or maybe get them done faster and more efficiently than they would get done on their own. The point is, being coached does not mean there's something wrong with you. Being coached actually means there's something right with you. So any of you who is going through life right now, you're kind of just flying solo. You don't have any type of coaching, no type of accountability, no type of mentoring, no one around you who can help you see what maybe you might be missing. You need to fix that problem and get yourself someone who can help you with that, or multiple someones who can help you with those things. Now, before we go further into this, let me refer you to a couple master classes where I talked about coaching so you can get some more background on this if you have not listened to these already. And even if you have, unless you can remember exactly what I said on those shows, which you probably can't, you should listen to these again. Episode 1762. How to be coachable and how to get maximum value from your coaches. Again, it's episode 1762. Episode number 1672, how to transition from being a player to being a coach, metaphorically speaking. Doesn't have to be an athlete. Episode number 1241, key growth principle is being coachable. Wouldn't that help you grow if you could be coachable? I think I just laid the foundation for you understanding that. Episode number 1120, how to find a great coach for business, sports, or life. Episode number 1014, what we want from our bosses, coaches, and leaders. So any of you who is in a position of being in that authority spot, these are the things that you need to be bringing to the table for the people that are your subordinates, for lack of a better term. They may not be able to tell you this to your face, but I will tell you to your face what you need to bring to the table as a coach. Episode number 918 and 917, the best advice that I got from my athletic coaches. I did that in two parts because there were so many good things that I wanted to share there. I want to make sure that you got. And one more, episode number 688, how to hold yourself accountable even if you don't have a coach or a trainer. But that doesn't mean you will never have one. That means the way you hold yourself accountable even when your coach or trainer is not around. So make sure you check all of those episodes out. They are all listed below in the show notes. Now I want you to be clear, as I said already here, and I'll say it again. What we're going to talk about here today is not just about sports coaching, but it can apply to sports coaches. This applies to any type of coach. Business coach, personal growth coach, any situation where you are being taught by someone else, this is the framework to allow yourself to be coached. Even if that person is not someone that you hired and paid, you might be working with someone that you've known for a long time, but in this particular circumstance, the way that you two are working together, they're kind of the one with the information. They have the knowledge, they have the experience, so they're guiding you along because they know more than you. So how can you be coached by that person? How can you get the most value from that situation? How can you help them help you the best? That's what we're talking about here today. So the topic, once again, is a framework for being coached. Point number one, listen. The number one thing you can do to be coached to where it will maximize the ROI for you and it will maximize the ROI for the person who is coaching you is for you to listen. Do not just wait to be heard, because anyway, you're not there to be heard, you are there to learn. And most of the time, we learn when we are taking things in, not when we are sending things out. We do most of our learning through listening and watching, right? Or reading. So listening means be quiet, listen to what is being said to you, understand the message of what's being said, even though depending on who's coaching you, hopefully you have a coach who's who is articulate and able to communicate their point in such a way that you can understand exactly what they mean. But sometimes, especially in sports, you might have a coach who is trying to get their point across, but they might not say it in such a way that gets through to you perfectly. Your job as a listener is to interpret what they're really trying to say, even though they may not say it in so many words. Now, playing sports, there were many times where I had coaches who couldn't quite say what I think they were trying to say to me in so many words. They said it in other ways, and in my immaturity, I may not have taken the message so well. But now that I'm older and more mature and I can look back on those situations, I can now tell you, maybe you who's an athlete right now, that your job is to interpret what they're actually trying to say rather than take literally what they specifically did say. Because taking literally what they specifically did say, you may prove yourself right, but it's actually not going to help you. It's not going to help you get better. It's not going to help your relationship with that coach. And it's probably not going to help you get your chance to perform playing on that sports team. So listening means understanding what someone is trying to say, even if they're not so good at saying it. And there are a lot of people out there everybody wants to say something, but not everybody's so good at actually saying what they really, really want you to understand. They may say it in another way, and it's your job to kind of filter through everything they said to get to the part that they are really trying to get across. This is a skill. That is not, it could be a talent as well. Some people just have a natural ability to do that. But it is a skill that you can develop over time. The first step to developing that skill is to become cognizant of the fact that there are some people out there who are doing their best to communicate, but their best is not really that good. Know anybody like that who's doing their best at something, but they're just not that good at whatever that thing is? It could be communication, could be cooking, could be playing a sport, could be anything else. Some people, just their best is just not that great. So when you're dealing with those type of people, now, if you're the coach, you can hold them accountable and say, well, look, your best is just not that good. You need to get better or you're not going to be around here for long. But if your job is listening and understanding that person, then your job then is to figure out, all right, what is this person really trying to get across? Because they did a very poor job of doing it. But let me sift through everything they said to get to the actual heart of the matter. It's like going through a piece of fruit to get to the seed, to get to the pit and the inside of that fruit. That's your job as a listener. That's the listener's job. And anyway, you cannot learn when you are talking. So this is the skill of listening. And listening, again, is not just hearing what somebody said, but interpreting what they said. And again, the better the communicator, the less interpretation you'll have to do. But again, every person is unique. Coachable people listen a lot more than they talk. This seems like a pretty simple point, right? This seems to some of you who are coachable and you understand the concept of coachability, or maybe if you are a coach and you've dealt with some uncoachable people, you understand exactly what I'm saying here. This is common sense, so to speak, to you. But can we agree, those of you who have the experience, can we agree that this common sense, quote unquote, is not really that common? Have you ever dealt with some uncoachable clients? Has any of you been on a team or been in a group with some uncoachable people? Has any of you ever been the uncoachable individual? Are you willing to admit that? I know I have. Coachable people listen a lot more than they talk. And they listen a lot more than they hear. And there's a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is you register the sound. Listening is you understand the sound and you can even interpret what that person is trying to say, even if they didn't say it in so many words. Everybody got it? Remember what I talked about in episode 14, 15. Have the confidence of a teacher while also having the humility of a student. When you are being coached, you are the student. So be humble while you are learning and be confident while you are teaching. While you're being coached, you are the student. I don't care how old you are, how much experience you have, how much more you think you know than the person who is coaching you. Put yourself in a position of being a student, because when you stop learning, you stop growing. When you stop growing, you start dying. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is a framework for being coachable. Second thing you do after you listen to what is being told to you, then you execute. You actually do the thing that is being told to you. A novel idea, right? Again, how many coaches do I have listening to me right now? Again, a coach in any capacity. You might not be a full-time coach. That might not be your job title, but you do some kind of coaching. Maybe you coach your child's sports team. Maybe you are a coach to certain people in certain aspects of life. Maybe you're a professional at what you do, you're a practitioner, but the up and coming people who are trying to learn to get to your level, you're kind of a coach to them because you help them out, you mentor them, you answer their questions. So I don't mean that you have to be a full-time coach to say, when I say coaches, all right, if you ever find yourself in the capacity of coaching other people and helping other people out with information, this is what I'm asking, this is the question I'm asking. How many of you have ever dealt with some subjects, some clients, some prospects, some students who listened to everything you said? It appeared that they completely understood it. They were nodding their head along with everything, took notes on everything you said, were excited about all the information, and then they did absolutely nothing when it was time for them to execute with what you told them. How many sports coaches do I have listening to this who you tell your player exactly what to do, and then you send them out to the field or to the court to do it, and then they just don't do it? And they just do the same thing they did before you gave them the correction, before you gave them new information. They go back and make the exact same mistake that they made before. And you're wondering what you should say to them now because you just told them what to do and then they just went and not did it. And you're just trying to figure out, where did I go wrong in this situation? Coaches, has that ever happened? How many business coaches or life coaches do I have here who you told one of your clients or prospects, or at least you helped them understand what steps they need to take next, what actions they can take right now based on their situation, and then the next time you talk to them, you ask them, hey, what'd you do with that information, those steps that we talked about? And they did nothing. Any of you had this situation happen? Am I the only one? Am I saying a point here that no one can relate to? How many of you as students, as players, as subjects of coaching was told something and didn't do it? How many of you ever been yelled at by a coach, or had a coach get annoyed with you or frustrated with or angry at you because you didn't do what the coach wanted you to do or what the coach told you to do? Now, any situation I see where coaching is going on, this eventually happens at some point. I don't care how great of a subject someone is. Eventually, every coach has to kind of get on one of their subjects or one of their players or one of their clients to let them know, like, hey, you're kind of not executing the way you're supposed to execute. The second step after listening is you have to actually do the thing that the coach told you to do. This is the hardest part of being coached, is actually doing what the coach told you. It's not hard to listen to what the coach says, because usually if you found a good coach, they're going to tell you some good stuff. So it's not hard to find a coach. It's not hard to pay for the coach as long as you can afford it. It's not hard to take notes on what the coach says. But doing what the coach says, that's hard work, because usually you hired or bought from this coach because you trust them, And usually because they know something that you don't know. And probably because they're going to have you do something that if you could have did it yourself, you wouldn't need the coach. So that's why execution is so hard, because usually they're going to have you doing something that you weren't already doing. It's outside, something maybe outside of your comfort zone, something outside of what you really feel like doing, and that's the exact reason why you have a coach. This is why people have coaches, so that they can be pushed outside of their comfort zone faster and in ways that they otherwise would never have done on their own. And all of us as human beings have this weakness that there's only so far we're going to push ourselves, relatively speaking. And when we bring a coach in, that coach can help bring us to another level. Now, again, everybody has different levels of how far we'll push ourselves, but everyone with the right coach can push ourselves further than what we would have done on our own. Again, all of it being relative. One person's height of pushing themselves might be level 20 out of 100, and a coach can get them to go to level 40. Whereas someone else's baseline might be level 80, and a coach can get them to level 95. So it's not about the absolute for everyone compared to each other. It's just about a good coach can help take you, whoever you are and wherever you are, further than you could take yourself. Therefore, since you hired that coach specifically for this reason, do what they tell you to do. I mean, isn't this a novel idea? You hire the coach and just do what they tell you to do. Don't analyze what the coach says. Don't waffle on whether you're going to do it or not. Don't flip-flop. Don't tell the coach you're going to do it and then change your mind the next day because you got some different information. Do not challenge your coach's information by telling you what you heard a different coach say or what one of your friends did or what you saw on YouTube 2 days ago. All right, do not do that. Just do what the coach told you to do. And here's something else you can do. Do it now. When you have a coach, do what the coach tells you to do now. Not next week, not tomorrow, not after you think about it, not after you decide whether or not it's worth doing or not. All right, what the hell did you get a coach for if you're going to decide whether or not you're going to listen to the coach? Why do you have a coach? All right, if you are uncoachable, don't get a coach. And if you're uncoachable and don't have a coach, then you are putting a cap on how far you'll be able to take yourself. Because I guarantee you, since you're a human being, and I know the wiring of humans, there's only so far you're going to push yourself. So you need to get rid of that. If you have some problems with being uncoachable, you need to fix that. Actually, I might do a whole masterclass just on that exact topic. I don't think I ever did a topic on being uncoachable. I didn't. So I'm going to do a whole masterclass on uncoachable people. So if you happen to be uncoachable, look out for a masterclass on that. So we'll fix that problem if you had this issue of analyzing, waffling, flip-flopping, challenging your coach's information as if you know more than the coach. Listen, if you know more than your coach, you should not have hired that coach. If you know more than the coach of a sports team, you didn't hire the coach, then maybe you should go play for a different team that is maybe, I don't know, at a higher level than the team that you're on right now. Or maybe you should just do what the coach says, and maybe, just maybe, the coach knows something that you don't. I mean, it's possible, right? Let's just open ourselves to the possible. Let's just humor ourselves that your coach might know something that you don't know. Let's humor ourselves the coach might see something that you can't see. Again, just an experiment. I know that this is probably impossible. I know you know everything, but let's just do an experiment that the coach might know more than you. The biggest challenge with being a coach, again, there are coaches listening to me, so please concur what I'm saying here. So I'm not crazy. The biggest challenge of being a coach is that people will want you to coach them. They'll actually come to you and want to be coached, and you tell them, hey, this is what I do as a coach. This is what I need from you as a client or a student or a subject if I'm going to coach you. And then when you actually coach them, they hesitate to implement what you tell them to do. Isn't it crazy? Coaches out there, why does this happen? I'll tell you why it happens. Because if you're a good coach and you're the right fit for that person, player, client, whoever they are, you are usually going to have them do something that they either have never done before and or that may take them out of their comfort zone. That's the very reason why you're there. But here's the problem with having people do things they've never done before and do things that take them out of their comfort zone is that it's scary to step out of your comfort zone. Most people don't want to do things that go out of their comfort zone, even if they know doing the thing will actually help them advance. And this is the resistance that people face in life. This is the friction right here. And this is what stops most people from success. It is not a lack of knowledge. It is definitely not a lack of ability. It is not a lack of time. It's not a lack of money. And those are the usual excuses. Again, coaches, please let me know that I'm not crazy for saying these things. The usual excuses that people have for either not getting a coach or not following a coach's suggestions or orders or directions is what? I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the ability. I don't have the money. All of those are bullshit. Here's the real reason why people don't do things the coaches tell them to do, or they just don't get a coach, period, is because our lizard brains, like our brains that go back to the quote unquote caveman days, we do not like the friction of having to step outside of our comfort zones. We'd rather just do things that are comfortable for us, and we know that a good coach is not going to let us just stay in our comfort zones. That's the very crux of coaching. And this is why many people don't have coaches. Again, it has nothing to do with how much you charge for coaching. It has nothing to do with people's lack of knowledge of the existence of coaching. It is not because people lack ability. It is not because people don't have time. All of those are bullshit excuses. So any of you who's a coach, next time somebody gives you that excuse, please dig deeper, because you know that's not the real reason. I mean, let's be honest here. You know that, right? If you don't, now you do. Now I just 10x your coaching business, because all you're going to do now is every time a prospect gives you that excuse, just challenge it. And a good percentage of your prospects who never become clients are now actually going to become clients, because you're going to challenge them on their bullshit, call them on their bullshit, because that's what they want you to coach them for anyway. So call them on their bullshit now, so they already know exactly what they're getting. People hesitate because you're pushing them outside of their comfort zone. And we as subjects, we hesitate with coaching because we're being pushed out of our comfort zone. I don't care how high of an achiever you are, it is uncomfortable to step out of your comfort zone. And again, comfort zones are relative. So that's scary on that lizard brain wiring level for all of us as human beings. Therefore, we hesitate, or we do nothing, or we waffle, or we challenge. When you are being coached, guaranteed, 100%, this will happen. If you have a coach right now and you never feel like you're being challenged or pushed outside of your comfort zone, it is because either A, your coach is unwilling to do so, or B, you have not allowed your coach to coach you. And that's a thing too. Again, sports coaches out there. Have you ever had players who just don't want to be coached? I mean, they're on a team and all, but they just don't want to be coached. Or they don't want to hear anything. They chafe at anything that you offer them that may have them doing or thinking something different. So you had to be coachable enough to allow yourself to be coached, and your coach has to be willing to coach you. And if you're not sure your coach understands that you're willing to be coached, hey, let them know. Hey, coach, I want you to coach me. I want you to push me. I want to be pushed outside of my comfort zone. I want to go to a level that I haven't gone before, and I'm willing to be coached. That's part of your job as a subject as well. So if it's not happening, then you might be part of the issue, not just them. Athletes, you all who are not athletes, you would be surprised. And actually, those of you who are, and those of you who work in sports, coaches, players, whoever, parents, you wouldn't be surprised by how often I hear from athletes who have some issue with their coach, but they don't have any issue with themselves. You understand what I'm saying? It just has to be the coach. Has to be the coach who's hating. Has to be the coach who's not giving them playing time. Has to be the coach who's not doing this thing and not doing that thing, yet the player has no faults. And y'all can think about why that is and draw your own conclusions. Recognize the fact that you will push back against being pushed out of your comfort zone, and then do it anyway. Why? Because that's why you have a coach. Yes, it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is a framework for being coached and being coachable. The third thing that happens after you listen to what the coach says and then you actually do what the coach told you to do, as long as you hired a good coach and you are a smart person who understands the language and can execute, you have the ability, which I'm sure you do because you're listening to a show called Work on Your Game. Next thing that will happen, inevitably, you will succeed. That's it. Listen, do, and succeed. When you have the right coach, you listen and you implement, you will create success and you will win. Guaranteed. If you don't create success and win after listening to and implementing with your coach, either something's wrong with you or something's wrong with that coach, or maybe both of you are perfect, but you're just not a good fit for each other. One of the three. Most of us are so hardened into our own ways of thinking over years of habitual thoughts and actions that it's hard for us to go against the grain of our own thinking, which, if you really think about it, if your own thinking and your own habits were enough for you to be successful, you wouldn't need a coach. You would already have everything that you wanted in life. Is anyone listening to me right now who has everything that they want in life? If you do, turn this show off, because you don't need to listen to a show called Work on Your Game. You need to do no more work. You're retired. However, if you're still listening and there are things in your life that you don't have yet, that means you have not yet become the person worthy of those things, which means there are some changes that need to occur, which means if you already could make those changes on your own, then you would already have done it. which means you need some outside eyes that can help you, which means you need to be coached, which means you need to shut up, listen, and execute so that you can succeed. Every professional has something or someone that helps them see what they cannot see and helps them go where they would not go alone, because it would take them too long to ever get to on their own. Every professional. Again, no matter how self-driven you are, there is further that you can go if someone else is pushing you. And for some people, they need someone to take them from level 95 to 99. Some people need to take them from level 10 to level 50. Some people need to go from level 0 to level 2. But everybody can be pushed further if they enlist some outside help. So the question is, are you willing to be coached? Are you coachable? Yes or no? There is no in between. Let's recap today's class, which is a framework for being coached. I gave you a list of episodes on being coached that are down below in the show notes. You can rewind this episode to the beginning and listen to them again, but they are all available at workonyourgamepodcast.com. This is for any type of coaching, business, personal, life coaching, anything. Number one, listen. Don't just wait to be heard. Nobody needs to hear you anyway when you're being coached. It doesn't mean you're not smart and you don't have information. But when you're in the position of being coached, you're not there to teach. You are not there to counterpoint. You are there to learn. And you can't learn when you are talking. Have the confidence of a teacher and the humility of a student. And you just need to know when you are the teacher and when you're the student. You might be the teacher at 12 o'clock, but you're the student at 8 o'clock. So be the student at 8 o'clock. All right, you go into teacher mode at 12 o'clock, usually with a different set of people. Be humble enough that while you are learning, you can learn, and confident enough that while you are teaching, people will listen to you. When you are being coached, you are the student. Be humble, which means shut the hell up. Number two, execute. The hardest part of being coached is to execute. It's not in finding a coach. It's not hard to pay for a coach. It's not hard to take notes on what they say and nod your head with everything they tell you. It's actually doing what they tell you. You hired the coach because you trust them, so do what the hell they say. Don't analyze what they say. Don't waffle. Don't go Google what they told you. Don't flip-flop on what you said you were going to do. Don't challenge their information with something that you read in some book or on somebody's tweet. Just do what they told you to do. That's it. Can you do that? Can you just do what your coach told you to do? Does anybody have a problem with that? The biggest challenge with being a coach, for all the coaches out there, is that people want you to coach them, and then when you tell them what to do, they don't implement it. They don't want to do it. Why? Because you are challenging their habitual comfort zone, their habitual thoughts and their habitual actions that they've had all the way up to this point for the last 10 years, 20 years, 50 years of their life. And it's scary for people to step outside of their comfort zone on an unconscious lizard brain level. But guess what? That's why they pay you the big bucks, Mr. or Mrs. Coach, for you to get people to understand that and push them outside of that zone anyway. That's what they paid you for. They will hate you while you're doing it, but they will love you after they get the results of it. So are you willing to deal with that discomfort, Mr. or Mrs. Coach? Point number three, succeed. When you have the right coach, you listen and you implement, you'll create success and you'll win. If you have the right coach, you listen and implement and don't create success, that means either that you and that coach are a bad fit, or that coach is just not the right, that coach didn't give you the right implementation, or you didn't listen and or you didn't implement in the right way. One of the three has to be the issue. Most of us are so hardened into our own ways of thinking over years of habits that it's hard for us to go against the grain and step outside of our comfort zones. But that's exactly why coaches exist, to push us outside of comfort zones anyway. You don't like jumping in the pool, the coach is going to push your ass into the pool, metaphorically speaking, maybe literally. But all pros have something or someone. Every pro who is good at what they do and gets paid for it has something or someone who can help them see what they cannot see and go where they would never go alone. Otherwise, it would take all of us too long to ever get to our peak levels and to maximize on our potential. That is the value of having a coach. And like I told you, as I promised, I will have a future episode coming on people who are uncoachable, so we can point out these traits, because there are a lot of uncoachable people out there who claim that they want to be coached, but as soon as you start coaching them, they don't want to do anything. But we're going to address those people very soon, so stay tuned. Send me a text, tell me the best thing you got from today's class. My number 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.